All right, so for drivers working on percentage, will the total rate the load is being moved for going to be printed on the bills? So basically it's a rate confirmation, or the rate going to be on the bills. And if it isn't, why not? And I thought one of these ideas was for everything to be more transparent.
Yep, I could take that one. So if you're a driver and you're working on a percentage basis, so if you take a percent from your fleet of revenue, it's not Uber Freight that holds any percent from you. When you book a load, you see $500, let's say, you get paid $500. That's on your rate confirmation that goes to the company. If you're a driver and you're booking a load, but you're part of a larger fleet, and that fleet chooses to take a percentage from you, then that's between the driver and the fleet.
Right.
But we're transparent. All drivers on our app see price, and once they book a load, they see the entire price that they will be paid, which is that same price.
The price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the price that the carrier gets paid. So right. We're not going to ever hide the true value of that load. So the driver will see the price that we're paying the carrier.
Right.
So that, the question is like, why? If we don't, why not? Well, we'll always be transparent about what is Uber Freight paying the carrier.
Right. So that's really got nothing to do with you guys. You're transparent. It's between the owner op and the percentage driver. All right. So at this point, Uber Freight is only available to independent contractors and owner operators. If or when will Uber Freight incorporate the larger or mega carriers?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and I think originally we built the app and the intent and the best use case was an independent owner operator. We wanted you to be able to download the app, book a load, and get paid right into your individual bank account. But we've realized that not only can the owner op benefit, but also fleet drivers can benefit, just so long as their dispatcher or fleet owner agrees to allow them to have authority to book their own freight and see the price of the loads. So because we're so transparent with rates, some fleet owners or dispatchers have a problem with that, but we have several fleets of over 100, let's say, that use the Uber Freight app daily and contribute to the network.
You're always all the time giving you feedback.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. Okay.
So ultimately, we're not biased towards small or large or anything. We're biased toward letting the driver have control and transparency. So if the fleet lets the driver book, and see price, whatever, like if it's fully transparent to the driver, please use Uber Freight. If not, it's probably not the right app to use.
Okay. As Uber develops and expands its brokerage services, what will it do for drivers using their app as far as hours of service are concerned?
So right now we're still kind of thinking what is the best way to solve this pain point of ELD mandate and how to improve the time that you spend for the hours you have. So if the drivers are using us, maybe they can take more freight in a given day or in a given week because it's so quick to interact with the company. That should kind of open up this a little bit of extra wiggle room within their hours of service to do more business and make more money. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. The less time spent on phones, less time spent doing paperwork is less time I got to deal with my hours.
Yep.
It's just in and out. In the future, where will Uber take a stand on hours of service changes?
Great question. We want to do what's right for the drivers. We know that the driver voice is, ELD mandate's probably not the right way to go. We know the best way to handle hours to drive safely. Then there's other people who argue the opposite, saying, well, no, actually ELD mandate is for safety. We're actually quite new to the industry, right? Like we've only been around for a little bit, and we want to do what's right for people and for the community, and especially for drivers. So for now, it's really about given how the rules are going to play out, how can we enrich the lives and workflows of drivers within what's legally available. Now, pushing things one way or the other, we're not in a position right now where we're doing that. But given whatever those regulations are and however they might end up, whether they go through or they don't go through, we're going to try to make drivers' lives and ultimately their earnings as best and maximal as possible.
How do you certify shippers and drivers? How do they get into the system?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing that we look at is we want to make sure that you have the right equipment to haul freight with Uber Freight. So right now we have all drive-in or refrigerated freight, and so we first look and make sure that you either have a drive-in or you have some drive-ins or reefers and can actually haul the freight that's on our app. We're thinking about all modes of transportation, but that's where we are now. So step one is we make sure that you have the right equipment. After we sort of make sure that that's all in line, we then go through a vetting process where we look at your authority, your insurance, your safety rating and such, and then we have a process by which we activate you, get you a login and password, and then you're out on the road. So it's quick and seamless. Actually, that's the team in Chicago that is reporting into me. So that process is very near and dear to my heart right now.
What's the turnaround time on that?
So we'll get a driver activated and out on the road as quickly as 15 minutes if he books a load right then and there. So we try to turn it around very fast, but we never extend it any more than 24 hours, assuming that you have the right equipment and that your broker carrier agreement is processed and all that good stuff. So,
all right. Well, here's an off question, but do you have a age limit on equipment?
We do not currently, but some of our customers might have requirements that we will make very clear in the app. So like if we ever take a load that's, let's say, a paper load and it requires a trailer that's 5 years or newer or something like that, we'll make it super, super clear for you. But we haven't had any issues with the age of trailers yet.
So what system will Uber Freight have in place for weeding out subpar drivers, owner-operators, or carriers?
Yeah, so I think I could take the first half and then you take the second half. He doesn't know what the second half is yet. But the first part is we look at service on a high level, just based on time pickup, on time performance, and then we make sure that you're not the type of driver that's booking loads and then shopping around. Once you book a load with us, we want to make sure that you remain on the load unless you of course you break down or something happens and you're not able to service the freight. So we look at service like very similarly to most other brokerages, those two items. And then in the future, we'd like to develop some sort of rating system that would look more like the Uber ride sharing platform. But Eric can jump in there if he wants to.
Yeah, and with the theme of transparency, we want to give carriers and drivers clear visibility into how we think they're doing. What is their on-time percentage? How well are they, how quickly are they uploading their documents? Just how well is it kind of going for them and for us? So they know, if I want to take more freight with Uber, I'm going to have to improve in these ways, or I'm doing great, I'm an all-star, let's keep it going. We want to be able to build in ways to kind of show transparently how that carrier is doing.
Yeah, and it's a two-way street, right? So we want to rate the drivers, but we also want to empower the drivers to potentially share their opinion on certain shippers. And so like we had talked about this offline, but often a certain shipper might take hours and hours and hours to load trailers, and drivers sit and they're not being paid and such, and it's a very frustrating experience. And so we want to provide transparency to the driver community about like how certain shippers are performing, so that we create transparency not on the driver side only, but driver and shipper side.
That's a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
How far in the future might that come into play?
Coming soon, I'll just say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We know that this is one of the areas where giving the drivers a voice, not only to give us feedback, but it gives a voice to the rest of the community. It's a really powerful thing.
Yeah. Massively powerful. What is it going to take for, say, a driver to not be able to pull for Uber? How much leniency are you going to give them?
Yeah, so that threshold right now is still it's still being figured out. I think there's certain things like if they're not safe, it's a non-starter for us, both for the driver's sake and for the shipper's sake, and for the community at large. What's the exact threshold of bounce loads or on-time pickups? These are things that we're talking to drivers now to really get their voice in there and be like, well, what do you think is good? What do we think is good? And we'll figure out where that where to put those things.
How early are you guys in this space? How young are you?
So we've been moving freight for just about a year. But the app only came out earlier this year, so about 6 or 7 months.
You guys are babies.
Yeah,
you're infancy. So that actually carries over to the next question, is because you're only doing van and refrigerated freight right now. Are you going to be doing LTL, cargo, van freight, flatbed? Are you going to be branching? Where are you going to be branching out into in the future?
We'd love to go anywhere where drivers think that this is a valuable addition to their day to day. Now, if that means that there's a lot of owner ops who want to do flatbed and we don't offer that yet, maybe that's interesting. If it's LTL, if it's other kinds of freight, we'll always look at what's the best opportunity for the drivers and for Uber and for the shippers that we work with, and what's a natural way to grow there. Right now, as Bob said, we're focused on dry van and reefer. We'll probably be doing that for a while, really getting that right. We are really early, but we will always be looking for ways to expand and make sure that we can service the market.
Yeah, so you guys are open to complete expansion wherever you need to go, wherever there's a market.
We're open to it. There's definitely a lot of research and learning that we need to do first before we jump into those spaces.
All right. So do you guys plan on having a trailer pull, basically drop and hook type situations where you're going to basically buy assets of trailers and leave them as shippers and consignees, so people can do like power only, can come in there and do like that type of stuff?
Yeah, and this actually goes back to the hours of service comment or question that you had earlier, which is how are we thinking about maximizing drivers' hours of service? And we talk to drivers all the time. We know that when they're working at large fleets, they can do drop and hook, and they can save hours off of their waiting times at shippers. It's not always easy when you're a broker because you don't actually have control over that drop and hook because you don't own any of those assets. Now Uber as a company it's really a software company. Uber doesn't own the cars, it doesn't own anything like that. So it's not something that Uber has done before, but it is a huge driver pain point. So ultimately, we want to be able to, if there are drivers out there who can do drop and hook, and it's saving them time and saving them money, we want to get in on that, right? Like we want to provide that level playing field for the smaller fleets and owner ops that they don't get that advantage when the larger fleets have that drop and hook. So it's definitely something that we want to explore and get into. We've heard that loud and clear from drivers.
All right. So what guarantee on rates and payments do you offer?
So we pay within 7 days of the time when a legible bill of lading was submitted to our operations team, and we do have a team of folks that are here to verify. Drivers can actually submit all their paperwork right through the app as well, so it speeds things up. Yeah, helps us get the paperwork that we need in a fast and efficient manner, and then we can get you paid out in 7 days.
Cool. Yeah, like everyone likes fast pay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, most industry is built on like 30 days out.
And the cool thing in my mind is that we don't charge a fee, so you don't have to go and take 6% off of your revenue. You can actually just keep what money you earned.
Crazy idea, right?
Yeah.
We're literally nickel and dime to death in trucking. Okay, so what sort of rate can I expect? So just so I don't know, and even you said it there.
Yep.
So I don't get screwed over, or is it a variable depending on time and place?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think there is a bit of confusion. So when you log in for your first time and you see Uber Freight's loads, each time you book a load, there's an individual rate attached to the load, and it's based on all the things you might expect. So, lane, origin to destination, all that kind of good stuff, equipment type.
It's just not set. It varies.
So the rates are there for you to pick and choose, but it's not like you log into Uber Freight and now you're on the clock and we pay you by like time and distance or something like that. Yeah. It's load by load.
All right. So what about canceled freight? So guy goes to go get a load, and all of a sudden you actually cover a little bit. So what are they going to get if a shipper cancels on them?
So the cool thing about Uber Freight in this scenario is that we know when you're dispatched because we can see you heading towards the shipper. And the reason why I mentioned that is if you accept a load and start driving to the warehouse, like let's say you're going to go pick up a load of plastic or something, and you're on the way to go pick up, and the company calls me and says, "Hey, there's no freight. We can't load the truck." Well, we've known that you've already traveled 100 miles. Where at a broker you might call and they may say, "Oh, well, we didn't dispatch you, so we don't owe you any money." We actually say, "Yeah, we know that you dispatched yourself, and you went 100 miles, and for that we're going to take care of you and pay you for your time." And what's cool is like you don't even have to argue with us. Like it's just the policy, and everyone knows that. It's on our blog, it's on our website, so it's very transparent, and that's what we love about the product, and that's what drivers love about it as well.
I don't even know if we said it, but what is that rate? What are they going to get for that canceled?
So you'll get $2 a mile plus a $200 flat fee.
Oh wow! So you're getting mileage plus the fat.
Yeah. Oh. So if you cancel it all and you didn't drive any miles, you still get $200. If you drove 100 miles, you get $400.
Nice. Okay. That's actually very good. All right. So if a driver must cancel the pickup, how's that to be handled? So it's on him, but he's got to cancel it. What's the what do you do for that?
So again, like I kind of mentioned before, there's this idea that we're just an app and there's no people behind it. You can actually call right through the app to Uber Freight and let us know what's happening, and we can take care of you right then and there. If we can change the appointment, we will do that. If we can, if we can help you out in any way, we will also do that. But you just call. We have an operations team of freight professionals that will chat with you and let you know what we want to do. But that's pretty simple.
Yeah, I came here blind on the app. I didn't want to have any preconceived notions. But Greg showed me that you just push the button here where the phone is. I'm like, so you don't have to remember the number. You got to put it in and all this stuff. Just push the phone. Like, there you go. All right. So here's the question. You've seen it everywhere. Every social media place that you've ever gone to, Facebook. But this is the question that everyone always asks. Why are you trying to create autonomous trucks that will take our jobs? Okay. And to the drivers, why are you supporting this? So that's a twofold question, but it's everywhere. Why are you trying to create autonomous trucks that will take our jobs?
It's a very good question, and actually something that I've worked a lot with the team that's working on autonomous technology at Uber. Uber's been working on autonomous cars for a few years. They're working on those autonomous cars because it makes Uber's mission of making transportation reliable and seamless that much better. It makes it's better for cities, it's better for people, it's better for the community when you have like these safe vehicles moving around. Now we hear from drivers that one of the hardest things when they're on the road is when they're getting pushed to the limit. There's drivers who are tired. There's four-wheelers who are tired and they're driving crazy, and sometimes it's hard to be a driver in some of these situations. We've also heard from drivers that being on the road out for many days is really hard, and driving across the country is really hard. Autonomous cars and trucks, there are some benefits to these kind of things that we think can happen some point in the future. Now it's something that Uber is working on, but it's not something that's happening anytime soon. So it's something that Uber is interested in because of the safety benefits and because of the benefits of some of the hardships of long haul. But it's not something that's happening anytime soon. Not something that we think will affect drivers who are having a job today. If they have a job today, nothing's going to be changing.
Now I'm going to make a statement on that particular question. Is if your job can be taken by an autonomous truck, then you didn't train yourself correctly in your job. This one is actually a hitting point for me, and that is, if you have a CDL, you should never ever be out of a job. And if you are, you screwed up. If you were bumping docks your whole career, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and it's nobody else's responsibility to train you to be better at what you're doing. I'm not afraid of autonomous trucks. I'm not afraid of anything coming to take my job, because me personally, I have always bettered my position so that you can't take my job. I can go do 45 other things in trucking related. So I don't, whenever, and I see this question all the time, and all I ever hear is that what is some stupid cartoon where they're trying to take your jobs. Like, get out of my face. It's the driver's responsibility to educate themselves so that they don't ever have to worry about somebody trying to take their jobs. Any final statements that you guys would like to make?
The more that we can get out and talk to the folks who are using the app, the more it makes the product better. It makes the drivers' lives better. Ultimately, having that open conversation about how can we make the industry better, we think that that's going to be great for everyone involved. If we can build something that gives transparency to facilities that are bad, that's a great idea that comes from the drivers.
Yeah.
If we can work on ways to pay carriers better and to get whether it's faster payment or better accessors or whatever that is, we're open ears. We love to talk with drivers who come in. We love to go out into the field. We love to make those interactions. So I'm personally looking forward to doing more of that over the next year.
So you got to come into Matt's?
We definitely are.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate y'all answering the questions from the subscribers. I can tell that you guys are listening. Just by the input that I've received back from the people that I have spoken to, you're hitting on a lot of sore subjects that you're trying to fix. So honestly, I wish you well, and transparency will always be key. If you don't screw us, we don't screw you, and that's basically how it works. Yeah. So you got a long road ahead of you. You're the babies in the space, and you have the name Uber attached to you. While it may sound massive, you're still the babies. So good luck.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.